Quick reminder, and I'll give you guys a few more of these throughout the week, but I will be leaving for vacation this coming Sunday, April 9th. Gonna be back the following Sunday, April 16th. Gonna try to put together a few videos to be uploaded during the week that I'm gone so I don't go 7 straight days without an upload. I kind of wish my vacation was last month when the channel was in a slump. We're starting to regain traction here on YouTube, starting to get back to normal, and here I am leaving. But just wanted to give you guys another heads up. Gonna be out next week. All right, let's get into this. The big story today in the media. Everyone is making a big deal about Jill Biden. I have seen so many mistakes with all this Jill Biden coverage. Every video clip I see of some talking head criticizing Jill Biden, they all keep calling her Dr. Jill Biden. When did Jill Biden become a doctor? I know we're living in this era of identifiers where anyone can choose what they identify as. But if I walked into a doctor's office and Jill Biden was consulting with patients, I'm getting the hell out of there. Just because Jill Biden calls herself a doctor doesn't mean she is a doctor. Kind of like Leah Thomas calling herself a woman. Leah Thomas might choose to identify as a woman, but my 2020 vision continues telling me she is a he. Anyway, Jill Biden, she invited the young women from Iowa to the White House. It's one of the leading stories today in sports media. It makes for a somewhat interesting conversation. I actually intended on committing a full video to it this afternoon, but I was given another idea. I think a more interesting idea from one of my viewers, my boy Connor. It's a bit speculative, but I thought it was way more interesting than talking about some pretend doctor. There is no denying the fact Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in college basketball, or, as she is better known here on the channel, the lovely Katie Rue. Now notice, I said Caitlin Clark, biggest star in college basketball. I mean all of college basketball, both the men and the women. If you asked me to name one college basketball player with a Leah Thomas-like propeller in his pants, I couldn't do it. Caitlin Clark has become a household name, which begs the question, can Caitlin Clark save the WNBA dump? Can she upgrade accommodations at the dump from functioning as a professional landfill to functioning as a respected professional basketball league? Basically, is Caitlin Clark capable of doing the impossible? Can one woman, one player, reverse 3 decades of negative perception that previous dump divers worked tirelessly to build? That is the question we're going to answer, but I'll go ahead and give you the short answer. No. I made a mistake the other day. I thought Caitlin Clark would enter the WNBA draft this season. On the surface, that's the natural progression, right? You excel playing amateur basketball, you progress to playing at the professional level, where in the case of the WNBA, you're paid pennies on the dollar with an endless supply of cucumbers. The WNBA is known for making horrific decisions, but they have actually done their part to look out for the young women playing college basketball. Unlike the men, future dump divers, they are required to damn near graduate from college before completing their application to become a trash engineer. They also had to be 22 years old, meaning Caitlin Clark is not eligible for the WNBA draft until next year. It also means Caitlin Clark has 12 more months minimum to make as much money as possible through endorsement deals. Because once she swaps that Iowa jersey for a waste management uniform, that shining star becomes a polished turd. Now, before I get into my theory as to why Caitlin Clark will not be able to save the WNBA, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. I think Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent. She's likable, she's marketable, she's someone people were willing to get behind during March Madness. But like I told you before, the tournament is the ultimate draw. We have seen this movie before. We've seen it with both the men and the women. Someone becomes a star overnight during March Madness. There's all this media interest. They dominate the news cycle for a couple of weeks. Then, poof, they're gone. Last year, Aaliyah Boston was the big star during March Madness. How many times did you hear that name mentioned during the tournament this year? The year before that, Sedona Prince was the media darling. She was famous for complaining about the conditions the women were forced to deal with when compared to the men. Back in 2019, Sabrina Ionescu was the face of the women's tournament. She's going on 3 years in the WNBA now. Do you even know which dump she manages? There have been dozens of others who have risen to stardom during the month of March. Diana Taurasi, Sue the Bird, whose biggest claim to fame now is being married to America's favorite prepubescent boy, Megan Rapinoe. Candace Parker was a huge star when she was at Tennessee. Kelsey Plum was a big star at Washington. Besides Sedona Prince and Aaliyah Boston, all these other women have worked or are currently working in the WNBA dump. None of them have elevated the league. None of them have boosted ratings. So, what makes anyone think Caitlin Clark would be able to achieve the unthinkable? Now, this is assuming Caitlin Clark has the ability to not only excel in the WNBA, but also consistently win in the WNBA level. If you're going to be the savior of the league, you got to be able to win consistently. Now, to be fair, I do think Caitlin Clark has the talent to make it to the WNBA. I know I fuck around all the time about the WNBA, but there is a significant difference between college basketball and professional basketball. There is a huge difference between dominating at the college level and dominating at the professional level. We have seen loads of star players in college who become nothing but role players at the professional level. But let's assume Caitlin Clark is a starter in the WNBA. Let's assume she even enters the league with a sizable following, plenty of star power. Who is the villain? Who is the other star Caitlin Clark has to conquer on her way to the top? Hell, is there even another star in the WNBA for Caitlin Clark to compete with? Michael Jordan had to get past Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. LeBron had to get past Kobe, Paul Pierce, Steph Curry. Stars become superstars by beating other superstars. People tune in to watch two equal stars competing against each other. Who would be able to match Caitlin Clark's star power in the WNBA? Right now, no one. And this league has proven time and time again they do not have the ability to create stars. But the main reason Caitlin Clark won't save the WNBA has absolutely nothing to do with Caitlin Clark and everything to do with the dump itself. This is just my opinion, but I think the reputation and the perception of the WNBA is damaged beyond repair. Here in about a month, the league, along with the shitfucks in the mainstream media, they will celebrate the return of Bob Greiner. While former members of the military continue sitting in Russian prisons, ESPN and the WNBA, they are going to celebrate the immaculate return of Bobby. How well do you think that's going to go over with the vast majority of the American population? The WNBA is also perceived as being a league filled with whiners and complainers. Hell, the complaints have already started in the mainstream media. This afternoon, I'm reading an article in the New York Times. They're talking about the unfairness. It's just not fair. We just witnessed record ratings for the women's tournament, yet most of these women, these stars, will never be given the opportunity to become a professional dump diver. It's all the WNBA's fault because they refuse to expand the league. Yeah, well, they refuse to expand because they don't have the fucking money. The New York Times victimized women's basketball players by claiming most will be forced to travel overseas to continue their career. There's only 12 dumps in the WNBA with just 36 players drafted every year. Less than half of those players end up making a roster. You know what that sounds like to me? It sounds the same as the NBA. The reason most players don't make an NBA or in this case a WNBA roster, and this is also one of the many reasons the WNBA does not need to expand, there is not enough talent to fill the teams. The women's tournament set record ratings. The later rounds were entertaining, but if you go look at the first two rounds of the women's tournament, the basketball was absolutely god-awful. Like I said before, average margin of victory through the first two rounds, over 20 points. Outside of a handful of players, the vast majority of these young women have no chance at a professional basketball career. Now, even if Caitlin Clark were eligible this season to be drafted, I don't think she would leave Iowa. Why the hell would she? She's making over $1 million through endorsement deals. She's the biggest star in the sport. Unlike the dump divers, College basketball players, they travel on chartered flights to road games. The ones lucky enough to play for programs that receive support, they play in front of packed arenas. Why would Caitlin Clark leave all that luxury, to play in front of trashed mannequins in the WNBA? Why would she leave that kind of money? Why would she leave that kind of fame and notoriety to go make 65 grand a year as a rookie trash engineer in the WNBA? Now, unfortunately for Caitlin Clark, she's got to leave eventually. If she doesn't want to play overseas, the only place for her to go is where mainstream careers go to die, the WNBA. Like I said before, the tournament is the draw. I don't say that to take anything away from Caitlin Clark. I don't say that to denigrate her accomplishments. I think it's great that Caitlin Clark set record ratings in the Final Four in the national championship. But here's the thing. If she was really this big star, why wasn't she setting these ratings during the regular season? A few weeks ago, I pulled ratings for a handful of nationally televised Iowa games. Caitlin Clark was drawing between 150 and 250,000 viewers. Now, maybe those ratings will go up next season since she's become a more high-profile player. But memories are short. People have a tendency to forget you quickly when the magic of March Madness fades away. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal player, an even better person. She handled that controversy with Angel Reese with class and dignity. There's an old saying, and I can't remember it verbatim. It's something to the effect of, there's a lot of people who make it to the top, but only a few are able to maintain that level of success long term. Caitlin Clark has reached the top of college basketball. She might even remain at the top next season, at least during March Madness. Will that popularity, will that success transition to the WNBA and save this dying league? I hate to say it, but no! That doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's damn near impossible. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. I've been wrong before. Maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe you see something I don't. You tell me. Once she is eligible to enter the WNBA, can Caitlin Clark save this dying league? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.